lighting's wrecked. Unlocked character. There we go.
And I'm in the process of spending tremendous amounts of money.
Alright, what's up guys? So we've been pretty busy with the LS motor. I don't know exactly where I left off, but I ended up breaking the crank bolt off inside the crank somehow. So I was using the crank bolt to simply turn the motor over to install the rocker arms back into the motor after I retorqued the head, or torqued the heads down and did the gaskets and all that stuff. And while I was doing that, all I did was simply turn the motor over enough, or tighten it enough to where the motor would turn. I didn't, tighten it down any more than that. But when I was taking it out, I got like 3 or 4 turns and it just froze. And it was just game over. So I pulled the crank out, I took it to the machine shop, and I had them drill out and retap the crank, put it all back together, and I was able to put a new crank bolt in it with the Corvette balancer, and it all torqued down fine, and everything seems okay. So, I'll show you what I'm working with so far. I got one of the manifolds on, so I went ahead and ceramic coated the manifolds also just to be safe, and I had to powder coat the mounts because they were just raw steel. They looked amazing, but they were eventually going to rust. So I mean, the motor's come huge way than what it was before. I'm getting closer and closer, getting excited about that. But right now what I'm going to end up doing is decapping the truck injectors that I have. And I think they should fit in the fuel rails here. And I'll get the fuel rails on, get the coil packs on, and then I'll probably put the motor in the car and start doing some of the wiring. So I'm still waiting for the DCT to LS swap kit. There's still none out there that I could easily order. They're either out of stock or every single week it's next week it's going to be there. Next week it'll be available. But I'm at my end here because I'm ready to put the motor in and put everything together, and I still don't have the swap kit to bolt up the trans. But I did end up ordering the HTG GCU controller for the DCT trans, and I got their plug and play harness. So there's still some soldering that has to be done, but it won't be that bad. Hopefully, at least. So I'm gonna go ahead and start decapping these injectors and then throwing them in the fuel rail and finish putting this motor together. Maybe I'll put it into the engine bay today. Maybe, we'll see. All right, let's get to decapping these bad boys. Ignore my workbench. My wife hasn't made me clean it recently, so it's pretty messy. And until she does, then it'll remain that way most likely. Alright, so I just did one, and you can, maybe it'll focus for me. Come on. You can kind of see it. See that little ball there? So what you want to do is grind around the top. So there's usually a cap there. And when you grind it in circles, there's a weld on top. And then as you grind it, that weld gets grinded away, and then the cap just shoots off. Hang on, let me show you what a stock normal one looks like. I've already done that one. Alright, focus for me. Focus. No? Come on. There it goes. Alright, so you see there's like 2 little dots in there. Then that brown ring around it, that's the weld. So you want to make sure not to grind it flat. You want to have some sort of angle and go in circles. And then that cap will just shoot off. And this is like, I think it doubles basically the power of these injectors with, I know it affects like the spray pattern and stuff, but it's an NA car, I don't really care too much. I think it'll be fine. Alright, so I'm kind of using the E36 as like a workbench here. But I took out the stock fuel pump hanger. Took out the stock pump. It actually looks pretty new, so I don't know. I don't know what they hold. I don't really care, so I just picked up a Walbro 255 to throw in here. So you're ready to put the connector on, and there's a fuel line and the hat, and then I'm gonna put it back together and drop it back in the tank. And then I ordered basically all the fuel fittings I need. I got Parker, I think it's Parker or Parker's 801 fuel line, which is like E85 safe. I got it in, I think it's 3/8. So I'm running that all the way from the tank all the way up, and the return is going to be the same thing, 3/8 to the tank, or to the back to the gas tank. So that's what I'm getting ready to do now. So I'm still waiting for all the fittings to come in. I have the fuel line here, but can't really do much with it without you know, the fittings. So once those come in, then I can actually finish the fuel setup, and it'll be pretty cool to get that done. All right, pretty simple here. I just took out the stock pump. I had to cut the, I don't know what you would call this, but there's like a little bracket here at the bottom that the stock pump sits in. I had to cut the end off so that the new sock fit. Lines are run up to the top here. Simple stuff. A little worm gear clamp here to hold it still. And there's like a rubber boot at the bottom of the 255 here. And that sits in the factory bracket there. And then it's plugged in. So simple enough. Should get the job done.